Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining in. This is another episode of zZounds Live, and I am Justin with zZounds, and we are here today with the Line 6 Catalyst 60 amp. So the Catalyst is the newest addition to the lineup, and this is going to kind of be the new school of Line 6 right now. They kind of wanted to wrap up all of their HX modeling technology into a amp right here that you can kind of do a million things with. But we're going to do a dive into this and kind of show you guys everything that this guy can do. So without further ado, let's dive right in. This is actually a really sweet amp. But just for starters, let's talk about its general controls and basically its bank of effects and everything like that. And then we'll hear what it can do. So yeah, like I mentioned before, this has the HX technology that Line 6 has been working on for years there with, I believe it is 18 different effect types, which is awesome. So 18 different effects, and there is 6 reverbs as well. So they're easily accessible. They sound great. So we'll hear those in a little bit. There's also some software I am running. The software is the Catalyst Edit app. So there will be a screen here that you guys will notice I'm messing around with effect parameters on and everything. So I'll walk us through those changes that I'm making as we get there. But yes, there is a really great app, the Catalyst Edit app. And yeah, that makes this even easier to use. So this is the 60 watt guy. This is the smallest of the Catalyst lineup. There's also a 100 watt though, and there's also a 200 watt, which comes in a 212 variety, which is really awesome. So super lightweight. This is like 26 pounds or something. So it's like incredibly easy to move around as well. But let's hear it really fast. I've been talking about it so far, but let's just hear something. So yeah, that is the dynamic setting, and I really like the dynamic for obvious reasons. It is a dynamic channel. So if you can see the controls up here, I've got the gain pretty much at about 3 o'clock, so it's about 75% of the way up. So let's kind of hear that when I juice that for a bit. So this is it all the way up. And yeah, you'll notice that it's got a lot of hair on it for at the highest end there of the gain. But if you back off on it, you can just get like insane amounts of cleanup on it. So it's incredibly sensitive, especially for just a modeling amp like this. It just feels really good. And that's one of the strongest suits of this amp, is just it finally was able to nail kind of the feel of the modeling in a digital format there, but have it feel good out of an amp. So incredibly touch sensitive on this one. Kind of all the way from cleans. So great just sensitivity there. And that's with the gain all the way up. So if you roll it back, you can notice that you can get even like kind of smoother levels of gain there. So, you know, so a little bit of hair on it at the high end if you really give it some dynamics. So it sounds awesome, and I'll get back to that channel in a little bit here, but just wanted to show you guys that dynamic channel first. Now you'll notice that there's a boost knob over here though, and each of the 6 types of amp models that we have on this dial over here has a boost control that will kind of adjust its own parameter based on what amp you have chosen. So it won't always be just a flat boost. It'll sometimes kind of have a little bit of an EQ shelf. Other times it will just be like another volume boost, or even kind of open up like another channel on the amp that you have. So let's try it out. Let's engage that boost. Here's it with it off. So. So it sounds really great, and it's only at about maybe 30–40% right now, so it has a kind of a crazy range to it. You get all that kind of trebly saturation on that one when you crank the boost. So I really liked that one. And in conjunction with the gain knob, you obviously have a lot of room to play with there. And yeah, just like our social media guy Jimmy just said, if you guys got a question for me, feel free to drop it in the chat. I got that open here and I can answer anything that you guys might have, any questions you guys might have about this. So let's get back to it. So boost function is amazing. I really liked that. It is dynamic and adjusts with the setting you have. So moving on, let's go to our basic controls though. You like that PRS? Thanks, Darren. Yeah, this is the Silver Sky. This is a very, very awesome guitar. The more I play it, the more I absolutely love this thing. So this is a great guitar. But guys, let's check out that panel. It's just a typical 3-band EQ. So we got bass, middle, treble, but we also have a presence control, which is awesome. Personally, I like having that kind of customizability with a presence control if I'm using kind of digital sounds there. So you can kind of roll off any like harshness or anything in those high gain sounds that you might find. But yeah, the presence control was a really great addition that they added on this. So moving on, we have a channel volume. We have an effect knob, which is just going to be a wet dry blend for our effects, which again, I will get to in a minute, but wet dry blend for effects. And then we have the reverb knob, which again is just going to be a blend for your reverb, but this is a global reverb. So it can be used in conjunction with the effects that you have, which is awesome. So maybe stacking a delay and a reverb like I was earlier. You can do that. So pretty easy to use. And then if you notice, it's just a master volume over here. Master volume will also be associated with your headphone out. If you're plugging headphones into this, this will be your master control for your headphone out volume, which is nice. And then speaking of that, let's talk about what it has on the connectivity for the back. So all the typical features you'd find on a regular guitar amp. Has an actual guitar speaker in there, which is awesome. It has a auxiliary in, which is great. You can use it for MP3 players, pretty much anything else you want to hook in there. It also has a USB connection there. So I am running the software via USB right now on my computer, and that's what's hooked up to the Catalyst Edit app. But you can also use this as a 4-in, 4-out audio interface. So believe it or not, this has an audio interface in it, which is awesome. So interface, it has an effects loop. So we got a typical effects loop, but the cool part about that is that effects loop can be used just as a traditional effects loop there, insert some effects before preamp and power amp stage, or you can use this as just a power amp. So there is a power amp switch on there. You could run this just like a powered speaker. If maybe you have like a modeler or something that you really like using with a bunch of amp sims and everything, you could turn this into power amp mode, run that directly in there, just bypass the preamp entirely. So awesome if you really just like your sounds that you get on a floor unit. You just use this as a powered speaker. Then after that, it is a direct out. So we're running this the DI via XLR right now. So later I'm going to get into some different adjustments we can do with the direct out. So cab sims this has, and microphone adjustments. So you can choose, I believe, 6 or 8 or more different microphones on here. So we'll experiment with that a little bit later. But yeah, other than that, I believe that pretty much covers everything that can do. So bunch of connectivity. It's great. So without even blabbing on about this anymore, let's get to some more of the tones. That's what we're here for. So yeah, let's go to our left. This is our master control. Let's go to the clean channel. So we'll start with that. And really, really awesome clean. I really liked how this worked on my single coils there, but it's clean all the way through the dial. So they wanted to get a channel that will not kind of distort at the highest end. So in typical digital fashion, you won't get any artifacts when you have it cranked. Nice. Solid state or tube. This is a solid state, so there are no tubes in there. That's actually one of the great features of it. No maintenance, super light, but yes, this is a solid state. So here's my neck pickup there. I was kind of in that that in-between position. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It has that a little bit of that sponginess too that you find on an actual tube amp. So it's funny that you asked that, Andrew. It has the kind of feel of a tube amp at times, which is my favorite part about this. I was most surprised when I plugged in for that reason. I think I went to the boutique channel. So it really does have kind of a tubey feel, though, especially in those mid-gain tones. So let's explore this clean a little bit more. How about this? Let's turn up the gain on the clean channel. So you'll notice, yeah, gets a little bit hairy there. So the roll off is awesome too. Roll your volume knob down just like you're using it as a tube amp. For anybody out there who you know, strictly uses tube, you can just roll your volume knob and just get a lot of that reduced saturation. That's great. What'd you say? Oh, sorry here. I was getting mixed messages here. Yeah, the microphones I'm using, if in case anybody is wondering, I'm just using a Shure SM57 and an SE Electronics VR1 microphone. So we got those both running right here. So yeah, that's what our chain is for this. And for this entire demo, I'm going to be using nothing but the amp. Nick, how's the distortion for rock and metal tones? So yeah, we'll get there in a little bit. Those next channels there, I'll get those high gain sounds in there. So you will hear that in a little bit. But this is just the clean channel so far with the gain cranked. So let's add in the boost. This is our boost channel. Both of the knobs boost and gain at about half. So you will get a lot of saturation with it still. So yeah, it just sounds awesome. So yeah, it sounds good. I might even roll back my bass control a little bit on some of those higher gain tones just to clean it up a little bit, but reacts really well. So, all right, let's go to the next one. So this is our, this is going to be our, let's see, we'll go to the boutique. And so let's turn that up a little bit. Oh, you know what? I think I just realized I was on the boutique channel this whole time. So the boutique was what I was playing a second ago. That was my mistake. So the sounds you just heard were the boutique channel cranked. So just the backtrack for my my terrible eyesight right here, apparently. Let's backtrack to the actual clean channel, and you'll see what I mean earlier. All right, there we go. This is the actual clean channel, folks. So here's the gain cranked on the clean channel. So yeah, obviously that is what we were going for earlier, that kind of pristine, clean sound. So I'm going to put in the reverb. I believe right now I have a plate reverb on. Let's double check. Yes, I have a plate reverb. And we'll hear what that sounds like with this clean channel. It's really nice. There we go. That's what I was looking for before. Really, really good cleans, and no matter where you have the master volume, it should stay that way. So it's really great, really dynamic. Let's go to the boost, though, on that clean sound. So here's the boost. Now you can start hearing a little bit of that hair I was talking about before. So I got it about 50%. Just get a little touch of it in there. It's really great. maybe dial the reverb down a little bit. So if you're like me, sometimes I like to play my cleans with like just a little bit of dirt on it, not totally squeaky clean. So but yeah, again, it's just super dynamic. I love it. So I was having a lot of fun with these early channels. So now that you guys actually heard the clean channel, the boutique, my mistake earlier, was what I was jamming on before. So kind of gets clean to dirty. Just to reiterate, that's the boutique channel with the plate reverb. So let's move on. So now we are going to go to the chime channel, which, as you can imagine, is going to be kind of more of that voxy type tone. Still a little bit cleaner, but it's got a little bit extra texture to it, and just has a really good treble presence. So my presence control right now is only at about 2 or 3. You'll hear it as a lot of definition. So let's get into this one. Roll back the gain a little bit here, everybody. So yeah, a little bit of a different clean than you heard before. So let's put the gain up a little bit. And you'll notice already, just like if you were playing kind of a Vox, when you start giving it a little bit more, it starts opening up. Get a lot more bass response on it too. So. It's kind of like another in-between flavor between the clean and the boutique. Kind of just has a different texture, so I really like that. Darren, zZounds is my favorite company. They've helped me out. Payment plan, yeah, well, great. Yeah, I'm glad that payment plan helped you out, Darren. We appreciate you. So let's go to the next sound, everybody. And again, I haven't touched my EQ controls. I've just been kind of manipulating my volume. So next channel is going to be our crunch channel. So I believe, Nick, if you were talking about rock and metal tones, this end of the amp choices that they have would start getting those rock tones. So let's hear it. And so here's at about 75% gain on the crunch channel. So. Really great. It's got that Marshall-y kind of flavor, and even has a little bit of extra sag on that channel. So the responsiveness is awesome. So I really like the feel of that. Andrew, any foot controller for this? Yes, there is. There is a different foot controller that they have that will adjust the preset channels as well as the toggling the effects on and off. I do not have one for this right now. I'll just be manually controlling everything for the stream. But there is a foot controller that they sell for this. So that is the crunch channel. So it's really awesome. Let's hear some kind of lead tones. Kind of crank that channel so you can hear this. So yeah, just that Marshall kind of flavor. It's got that bite to it. It's very, very fun. All right, and of course there's a lot more on tap for this boost, so let's get to that. So here's the boost function. About 50% again for the crunch channel. So that sounds really great. Let's go one level deeper though, and we'll adjust the delay. So how about I fire up a delay for this tone so we can really get some lead stuff going. How about the transistor tape? Okay, let me adjust the feedback on that really quick. And let's see. And here's that with the reverb off as well, so we're rolling it off. So, really cool. I probably could stand to get a little bit more of that delay in there for you guys. We'll adjust that a little bit. But that is the crunch channel again with the boost. So boost is only 50% up. So how about this? Let's just crank it, get that boost all the way up, and we'll just see how ridiculous this one gets. So. So yeah, super crispy there. So I really like that one with the boost all the way up. So how's it handle bottom end, Kenny? It handles it pretty well. I have the bass control maybe only about 50% right now, but if you crank that, yeah, you don't really get a lot of mud with it. On some of the distortion tones, naturally it'll do that like any other amp would when you crank the gain. But especially for the clean tones, I noticed it handled a lot of bass for those clean tones pretty well. So let's keep moving on, guys. So we've got a lot to cover here. So next setting is going to be, I believe that is our dynamic channel, which is what I started the stream with. So let's actually go back to that again. We're going to go about 50% gain on that. So. So again, you notice that it's just awesome. It's like even at the lower gain settings, just really it's clean when you want it to be, but really kind of pushes when you kind of give it some gas. Hence the dynamic channel. Andrew, does it have a kickstand like the Firehawk did? That not on it right now. We have it on an amp stand, but this one does not include one with it. So yeah. Let's see. Let's give us a riff here. It's obviously with my neck pickup. Here's it on the bridge. Very mild gain, so it's awesome. Again, I just really love the Catalyst for those like mid-gain tones. Obviously, everything else is great too, but I was just sitting on those kind of like crunch tones and mid-gain tones for a very long time. These are completely new amp sounds than the Helix. Yeah, I actually own a Helix myself, and I found a ton of stuff that I just simply cannot get with the Helix on this. So this would be something that you could even include in your arsenal, even if you did like running your Helix modeler. It just feels way different. Out of an actual guitar speaker in a cabinet like this, it is a completely different animal, but it still has that same technology, modeling technology in it. So let's keep going, guys. Let's crank the gain on that channel, and we'll see how this sounds with a couple of lead things. So just a little smoother than the other one when you got that gain going. And then neck pickup. And then with a little bit more of that reverb in there. And we get that reverb decay down here. So. Yeah, love it. There's just a lot of stuff in here, and as you're playing it, you'll probably fool yourself into thinking that it's a tube amp quite easily. So, so yeah, let's move on, guys. Again, I got a bunch of stuff to cover here. So, last channel is the high gain. So let's hear how that sounds. All right, this is with gain at about just right down the middle, about 50%. So. So yeah, really good saturation on that. That's just with about 50%. Andrew, better amp in the room field than the DT25 amps. Hold on, I got the camera in the way here. Curious on the comparison, even if it's apples or oranges. So far in my experience, I've probably enjoyed this a little bit better than the DT25 in terms of in the room feel, as you described it. It just does respond a little bit nicer to dynamics. So that is one of its strong suits. But moving on here, guys, we are on the high gain channel, and that was about 50%. So let's go to, just go all the way. So let's gain maxed out there. And really quick, I'm going to turn down that reverb just a touch there too, is a little smaller. You get those kind of Van Halen-y tones right there at the top end of it. Really opens up on the bottom. So, so yeah, I believe Kenny, you asked about that earlier with handling bottom end. On this setting, they explicitly say that the bottom end is kind of pumped up on these channels, and you really can notice it without even changing the 3-band EQ. It really does sound a lot thicker. Yeah, it sounds awesome. Feels good too. So leads work really well on this. So let's try something else out. Let's add some effects, guys. Let's see. How about we show you guys the different banks that it has. So effects that it comes with are delays. It is a modulation section. It also has pitch and filter effects, which is awesome. And all of these things you can adjust on the amplifier. It's just that the Catalyst Edit app gives you just further control of that stuff. So if you want to adjust the type, there's the effect button you notice above the knob. If you actually hold that for 2 seconds, you'll notice over on the left that that knob starts blinking. You can actually just adjust them from there. So, and for our purposes right here, how about this? I'll change it to a cleaner sound so you can hear more of the effects than the high gain. So how about this? We'll go to the boutique channel. And so let's hold that button. And you'll notice it should blink here. Then you can adjust everything. So, and this would adjust the delays since the knob is green there. So it'll cycle to the different types as you adjust that. So I believe I am on the Adriatic delay right now. You'll notice it's got a little bit more kind of gnarled analog delay character. So let's get a little bit more wet blend on that. Let's really hear it. There we go. Sounds great, and you could just, it's really that easy. You just hold a button and twist the knob and you're on the other settings, so pretty great. Let's kind of move on though. Let's go to a different bank of effects. I can do it in the software or I can do it on the amp, just to show you guys. If you hold the button again and it goes into that amp mode, you actually just hit the tap button and you'll see the color of the button change. That'll cycle to the different bank of effects. So now we're in the modulation section. So I believe this is just an old chorus, of course. So I believe, I'm not sure who it was, but I think Andrew, I think you mentioned the Helix. The Helix effects, a lot of these will be familiar to you since it's that same HX stuff. So, and again, with the app, you have more control of that, but I'm going to kind of hurry through this right now just for the purpose of getting through stuff. But yeah, really great effect there. So if you hold the button again, you can cycle through the different types right here. So I believe this is a, I believe it is a trem. And if we increase that wet blend there. So yeah, notice it sounds really nice. Let's cycle through some more. And this is obviously a phaser. And I'm gonna dial back that blend here just for tone. So let's do this. Let's adjust the speed of that. So sounds pretty rich. So yeah, going to the neck pickup and stuff, you get a whole bunch of good stuff. Can this be ran directly into a DAW? Yes, you can run this as an interface via that USB. So yes, you can do that. All right, so cool. You guys heard that phaser right there. So these can be blended with any of the other amp types, so you can do, you know, the full high gain with any of the effects in any combination. When you use the app to edit, will those type presets override? Right now, that's a good question, Bruce. I am in manual mode right now. You'll notice on the top there is a manual mode. It allows you to just adjust directly from the amp, unless you actually hold that preset button over there and lock in what you have manually dialed in. It will not override the presets there. So this is all just full manual. I'm just adjusting this in real time, even via the software. So, so you can make a bank of your own settings, but you'd have to manually, physically do that in order for it to override those. So, all right. So let's keep going on, guys. And like I mentioned before, you can stack those reverbs and the other effects that you're using, which is fun. But just in order of getting through everything, let's go to the filter and pitch effects. You've heard some of the modulation, you've heard some of the delays. Let's go to the filter and modulation stuff. So holding the button, and now we're going to cycle over to this pink purple light there, which is our filter. And it comes in strong with a bass octave down effect. So I really, really like this one. So it sounds great. I loved that one. I had that about 50% blended, but if you guys want to hear what it sounds like full wet. So yeah, sounds great. I absolutely loved that one. And yeah, so that's the very first of the filter effects. But if you guys want to cycle through some of the other ones, let's see. I believe we have a harmonizer right here. So this one's really fun. So you can get some really good, cool stuff with that. And again, the effect knob right here would manually adjust how you would be harmonizing. So get some wild stuff based on where you're tuned at. So it tracks really well too, and you'll usually notice that there's very, very little artifacts there with tracking. So if I have that pitch sound, let's mess around and get a dirtier channel, like maybe that crunch sound. Let's do this, you know? So. So yeah, the tracking's great. Harpsichord sound, yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's got that kind of stringy sound to it, Bruce. But yeah, your guys are noticing just like the ease of me being able to go, okay, new amp sound. I want high gain with this. I want the harmonizer with this tone. So it's just a really great user interface. And the edit app doesn't have any sub menus or anything. It's just one screen right there that you can manipulate pretty much everything. A couple extra menus, but it's just one screen. It's literally dummy proof. You can just plug in and mess around. But the strength of this amp, though, is that in manual mode, you can do pretty much everything but fine control right with the dials, which is a great thing for anybody who doesn't want to mess around with the software. You could pretty much just do like 75, 85% of everything I'm doing here, just the controls on the amp. So let's do one more tone here, guys, and then I'm going to get us out of here. But let's see. Let's see if we can do some other pitch stuff. All right, so we got a fuzz tone, so let's back off on a cleaner sound. Pretty wild there. Just like glitched out, just crazy sound. Yeah, that was just sputtery and awesome. So if I had messed around with that a little more, I could probably dial in something a little more usable, guys. But again, that's just me kind of diving through the tones in real time right now. So how about this, guys? How about this? Hey, Serge, you want to do some direct out stuff? We have this plugged in through the XLR direct out, and this has cab sims and some mic changes. So right now we are going to just be running the DI. So let's see. Let me get an actual tone here instead of that glitched out sound here. So 1 second. All right, so running some DI tones. Clean sound. and that's the 112 cabinet. Let's see if we get some different tone here from messing around and putting a 412, for instance. It might be kind of subtle for you guys listening out there, but based on what you're using and how loud you have the amp, all of these minor adjustments can make a pretty big difference in the feel and the tone there. So I'm running a 57 mic on there. Let's run maybe something like a condenser. So yeah, just a little bit extra high end, and based on what type of mic you're using, you can get a whole bunch of different sounds. So. And it's hard to kind of describe it, but the mic will actually change the perceived feel to it as well. So if you guys don't hear much of a difference out there, I'm noticing it playing it. So if that is any consolation there, that's just one aspect of all the tone you can get when you're plugging direct in. So anyways, not to hurry through that, but I think we could probably just go back to one more tone here, Serge. Thank you. So we got through the whole amp, got through the banks, 18 effects there, 6 different amp tones, hurried through all of those. Let's just do one final sound here. I'm taking requests, guys, if you guys want a specific channel. So shout it out now if you want. So let's just have fun and go extreme and go. Let's just do one more high gain, because why not? High gain, we'll get a delay in there. All right, so one sec. Let's change our bank. And so our delays are our green sound. So again, super easy, guys. So. All right, guys, again, thanks so much for joining us here. This was a kind of a dive into the Line 6 Catalyst, and this is the 60. Be sure to check out the 100 as well as the 200 if you're looking for more power, and the 212 in the 200 watt version. But yeah, this thing is great. It feels great. It has awesome technology. It's lightweight. It has an interface. It basically does everything. So, and it's cheap to boot. I believe it's $299 for this, and it goes up to not much more than that for the 200 watt version. So feel free to check out zZounds. We have the link there in the chat now. Feel free to pick one of these up. And as always, feel free to subscribe and check out more of our content in the future when we do more live streams. But again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good one.